Some of you sat here and said, well, I don't want to pay any more for my boat trailer. Well, I got 23 trucks on the road, and to me, that's the best point that you can hit me is when I go get my license plate for my trucks.
I believe in the wheel tax too.
And it cost me $20 for one of my big trucks. My big trucks will do more damage than $20. Trust me, a year. I'm not opposed to raising that. I'm not opposed to county saying, okay, it's going to cost me 25 or 30. I know you're going to get some argument from the guy that goes fishing, pulls his little boat behind him. We may have to look at that and keep that down where it's at. But trust me, they all drive on county roads.
And they all drive over bridges.
It's a good direct use tax.
For those of you that were on the council when the wheel tax was first passed, the reason for that is because of loss of revenue from the state or highway funding.
No, actually, we passed it before that happened.
And
What
preparing
happened the next
for it.
year after we passed it is when we lost our revenue.
Well, there had been loss of revenue is what was presented, what I remember, but otherwise, why would we have passed it?
Well, there was loss of revenue, but what Glenn said, whatever that generated, they took away from us. The next year was right
We
back
passed
to
it
where
for
we
the
was.
bridges. We met at the bottom of the jail. We passed it so we'd be able to fix the bridges and culverts.
Well, but none of that money goes towards bridges and culverts.
No, I think
We passed it
Yeah,
to make
that's what I
up for
thought.
what the state police took, and we passed it in an amount that raised just about that same amount of money. So there was
Right.
no net gain on it.
But now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to mess with that if we're not going to get it back, because that's just foolish. I don't want to give the state any more money than they got. But if it'll help the county and we know we're going to get it back, I think that's something we need to look at. And I think we need to check into that, George, and see why that dropped. That's quite a bit of a drop.
Yeah, it is.
Brandon and I spoke with Dan Baston from the state auditor's office, and I directly sent him that question. His response back was, and I even offered it, is decline in funds, and his one-word answer was yes. But then I shot back an email and said, why a decrease in funding, and we have never got anything back yet. It's kind of like the 911 thing. Did you get anything on that for me?
But I'm working on it. You gotta, that's, I tell you, I don't mean anything wrong. I mean, Jim is doing the best he can do, and Kathy is too, but when you lose seniority down there, you lose a lot. And people don't understand that when they go vote. I tell you, when we lost Dan Leonard, that hurt us. And it's hard for Dan to do something for us here in Whitley County now, because he's trying. That's who I went to. He's trying, but really it isn't his spot anymore.
Well, 911's the whole state though. That's gotta be
Yeah.
hurting them a little too.
One thing that I will suggest is the commissioners and mayors have a caucus that we meet once a month in Fort Wayne, and it's the 10 surrounding communities, and soon to be 11 with Kosciuszko's going to join. And we're starting to get clout through that caucus.
Yeah, that's
So if you have any issues that you need to bring up, let the commissioners know so that we can go to that caucus, and we have representatives there all the time. We have the chamber, we have NERC, we have a lot of representation there through AIC, AICC, and so we're getting some foothold there.
That'd be a good thing to bring up, that group, because it affects everybody, I'm sure.
But we just started that about 6 months ago, and I'm impressed. We're doing a great job.
So what, you want to table this until March?
Yeah, I think we need all our members present, get everybody's feel.
Okay.
Kind of look at the numbers, what revenue. If you guys have any questions, or shoot me an email. If you want to know the other revenue coming in, I didn't break mine out like Brandon did, but I can go back and capture what the decrease. But it's the same FIT, CBIT. It's the same revenues come in each one of them. And I even made a note on that on the one thing that I said, this is property tax revenue only. CUMCAP has also received small amounts of CBIT FIT and interest revenue was the other small ones.
George, when do you think you might know on that insurance? You have any kind of time
We've
set?
got another meeting,
On the 12th of February, we have another
Well-
meeting scheduled with our insurance rep.
but I'm not sure we'll know exactly when. What we're looking at right now, to be honest about it, is what are we gonna cut? And do we have to raise the employees part of it? It just, we know that it's gonna have to be done.
So you may have a little bit of a feeling by March, what,
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
should, yes.
maybe not 100%, but you have a little bit of a feeling what
Yeah.
you may have to do or where you're headed.
Yes, right now we're meeting with Phillips Financial and they're our third-party administrator. And then AGA is who we work through for the insurance, and we'll meet with them after we meet with Phillips.
George, there isn't any kind of a group through the state or anything you can look at?
We've looked at that last year, we looked at that. We looked at 2 or 3 different options last year, and we keep coming back to our self-funding right
What-
now.
What about partnering with the city at all?
There-
We're actually looking into that too. I'm gonna schedule some meetings with the city and Huntington, some of the surrounding counties, to ask those questions too about what we can do.
Something else you have to watch for is with Obamacare, and I don't remember the date, maybe July 1st. Any part-time employee that is 30 hours or more, so you'll want to make sure that you redo your policy that part-time is at least maybe 28, and you're gonna have to force people to stay within that 28. I don't know what the fine print is yet, but I do know that in the policies I'm writing for counties, that we're going 28 or less. And we're saying not to exceed that amount, because we don't know if Obamacare says you average that throughout the year, and we have seasonal people making, working 40 hours, but then working 28 hours, then we may have to provide them insurance. So you may save a little bit by reducing your number of part-time hours countywide.
Right now, it's at 29.5.
Right, so it's too
So,
close.
it's
just
close.
too close.
But, that's another issue is Obamacare, because the insurance companies don't know. I mean,
Right,
there's so
we
many
don't know
questions.
yet.
Yeah, there's so much.
They keep harping on it, but we got another thing that we gotta take a look at, and that's that jail.
That's right.
For way overpopulation, and if I understand it right, there's legislation now in the state to send, they won't take some of the prisoners for, depending on what they did, but we'll have to house them at the jail, so that could force our jail population up, which is already beyond what it's supposed to be. I'm not saying we do anything about it right now, but that in the future something's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, we're gonna end up sending to different places, to
Which
different
costs.
counties.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then the cost is gonna be.
Now, that
Yeah.
jail, wasn't that built, it's my recollection that the jail was built so that you could go a second story up. Do you
No.
remember that? No.
just the front part, the office part, not
Right.
the, not the
Not
cell
the-
part.
For judges' quarters or stuff like
Yeah,
that.
they put, one time putting courts up,
But you could go back.
you can go back, that's what we've got to
Yeah, we
target
bought
that.
the lot there,
building.
that's why we bought.
But then you've got parking issues.
Yeah,
Well, depending on how much of it you use, you still, yeah.
Could you take any of the offices over there right now, move them over into this building that's not as much, and use the basement part of it?
no, we just get architects and everybody else involved to figure out what we can
Yeah.
use, what we can't, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying that not too far down the road, we're gonna have an issue with that. It's getting
Yeah.
pushed on us.
We're actually over our limit right now. They're using the cots right now. And then,
Half of it.
yeah, we have been for months. And then Community Corrections has been up to max, and they're down a little bit now. I think you saw 70, I think is where we're at right now. But we're right at that maximum constantly,
And that brings up the point of buying that extra lot out there to community corrections.
right?
Because if we have to increase the jail size, we can help that a little bit by increasing that size. Might be cheaper to do that, I don't know, depending on how many people they got, they can move out, but that whole jail system, or incarceration system, or whatever you wanna call it, is a looming problem. And
Is community corrections, is the work release center at capacity now, do you
Yeah.
know?
We
Yeah.
were,
Okay,
November,
so it teeters.
yeah. Right now, we're down from 89 to 70 right at this
she's
point.
on that thing. They were maxed out for like September, October, November, maybe around Christmas. I've seen some numbers come
Both
from
the jail and, well, the jail wasn't completely maxed, but they were over their limit.
They were using that third cot
Yeah.
because of the size of the.
And I think the judges set the criteria for who gets to belong in work release. Maybe that's something they need to look at too, to say, okay, you can go to work release, and we get more people to work release, actually paying for the services they're receiving. That way we're not paying for the medical charges that we're getting like we do at the jail.
Right.
And, you know, I just wonder what those requirements are.
I don't know how it is now, but not too long ago, there were people down there that could have moved from the jail out there, but they didn't have room.
Right.
I don't know where that stands right now, but,
Yeah, no, the jail does not have anybody available right now, or they would have them
Yeah, I
over
didn't think
at
so.
work release.
anyway, we keep talking about spending money in the future on insurance, bridges, building maintenance, so that's just another one. It's coming up.
Yeah, that's the big one.
We have the bonds for this county government center, I can't remember when those expire.
2024. I just had to do the debt report for the year.
So
but
if we
yeah,
can hold out for,
10 years,
10 years,
I don't think we can,
it's a long time.
unless a lot of people start behaving themselves and that.
Yeah. Hold our breath on that one.
As the
Yeah.
economy gets tougher,
Yeah.
Crime gets worse.
you can see that in Fort Wayne right now. Wow.
And some things that I haven't followed it, but yeah, I don't think anybody could keep up, but some of the things proposed in the legislature, would be covered by home detention rather than jail time. They're working on a whole lot of different things,
Mhm.
but if you got them on the home detention, somebody's gotta check on them.
well, and then the same hand, now is one of the questions, I filled out a survey for legislative, I don't know, Kathy Hewer, I think, sent it to me. And it said that should people who, buy pseudoephedrine, should their charges be increased? And so here you got these meth addicts, and now we're gonna have to be housing them because they're trying to make the laws more strict. It's just like, you know, what gives? You know, who do you let off the hook?
Has anybody else got anything in the audience wants to bring up? Anything on the console?
I'm off my soapbox now.
Me too.
Okay, we'll stand adjourned then.